Well, welcome back to the Market Garden. Let's have a little look around and let me walk you through what we've got planned for spring and summer 2024-2025. So on this first bed, we used to have the chili plants here, and they had been going for about 3 years, and they were brilliant, but it was time to move on. They were looking a little tired. So what we've done instead is we've got some kaffir lime, Tahitian lime and a mandarin just here. Something a little bit different, see how they go. Then in this bed here, this was one of the beds that was quite unproductive last year. So we've done this on a few beds throughout the garden, but we covered it with a tarp to stop suppress some of the weeds and also give some of the soil a little rest. We've added some blood and bone to it. So hopefully this now coming into the next year will be nice and productive. And I plan on having some sunflowers in here this year. Then we have added into this bed here a couple of the peaches and some stone fruit, which is lovely. So it's going to give us a little bit of height again. And this is, you'll see throughout the garden, we've added some more trees, some fruit trees, just to add a bit of difference. And something that's productive but low maintenance as well is the idea. And then this little bed here is full of yellow dahlias. We've got our first sprout happening, which is very exciting. So behind me we have this Alyssum, and a chef friend of mine told me that it's quite an expensive delicacy, so I don't know whether we plate it with salad like a decorative like the nasturtiums, so I've got to work that out for 2024-25. And then we have here our artichokes, so they've been planted for a couple of years and they're doing very well. We should have fruit on them in the next couple of months. And one of the new additions for last year was our rhubarb. It's now doing the right thing, which is having lovely red shoots. So now we can make some crumble out of this, which is really great. So these two little frames here are set up for our climbers. Last year I planted sweet peas a little late, but they went on and on and on. So I don't think I was late, I was bang on. So I'm just now planting sweet peas in a different way to everybody else in West Australia. So that's fine. So this bed here will be for our sweet peas. And then this frame here will be for either our tomatoes, our beans, something to do with that, so something climbing. Because these two beds had quite a lot of produce in them, especially hungry things like tomatoes, what I've done is I've added this new product that I found. It's like a rock dust, really high mineral quantities and meant to be really great for kick-starting beds. I'll let you know how I go with these ones. It's the first time I've used it. Normally I just use blood and bone, but we'll see. Behind me is the raspberry bed, which I believe is a summer fruiting raspberry. However, I don't know if I'm cutting this right and I'm having a bit of a mare with it. So if there's anybody who can advise me out there on what I'm doing wrong, because they look so stringy, so I want to cut them back, but should I be leaving them? Anyway, so there's lots of new growth, so I'll be kicking off in the right way for the next season, but I think I might have messed it up for this year. Here I added 2 more roses because one of the roses that we have here called the children's rose, it just does amazingly well. So I got hold of another 2 and I've added them on this back bed. Just another low maintenance, good pollinator, fun for everybody to sort of smell and pick, and it's lovely. So then we have our purple flowering thyme. This was a very small strip that we had and we've just let it take over because again, low maintenance, it's amazing, it's great with cooking, and it's just, we're gonna let it take over this entire bed. So then we had this bed, which was the potato bed, and it kept coming back. So for this winter, what we did was we covered it all up. And then what we've done, we've added a couple of new additions with pear trees. So we've got several varieties here. So hopefully we'll have something of interest throughout the year here as well, is the plan. This bed in front of me is our chives and asparagus bed. The asparagus has started coming in the last couple of weeks, so that's really exciting. And then we removed our standard chives and we'll replant them again this year coming. And then our garlic chives have come back again wonderfully. Either side of the pergola, we have these strips of bed with different sort of flowers in it. We have the nasturtiums, we have some marigolds, we have these beautiful little pom-pom flower heads which keep coming back. They're brilliant, and all I do is when they're they turn over, they go into this sort of seed. I literally just come through and just re-scatter them. But this year I'm also going to add in some poppies and a couple of other beautiful sort of English cottage garden sort of flowers. So we'll see how we get on with that as well. August has been extremely wet, but as soon as spring turns on and we get days like this, immediately we have blossom in the garden, immediately. So we've had lovely little buds coming through, little flowers on our fruit trees. This one behind me is a nectarine, and we have some plums and some apples here as well. So everything's starting to come to life, which is so exciting. So we're looking forward to spring in full. So at the back of the garden, we have 3 standard roses with a lovely ground cover underneath. This one here is a chamomile ground cover. Then we have some strawberries, and I'm on the hunt for a lovely ground cover that I can pop in here underneath our rose just to add a bit of interest. So nothing new at the front here. All we've done is cut back our roses completely as much as we could, and we've started already getting the new growth coming through really quickly. So these are the remnants of our herbs from last year. We have some dill at the front, coriander behind me, and we've got parsley over on the far side. And the parsley will be good for another year, whereas the dill, I'll cut right back. It might keep going, but otherwise this will be the last of this. So one of the things we had in the garden this year was our Chinese cabbage. When we did our video last time, I said we weren't going to do any pesticides on it or anything like that. It has done really well. We've had loads off it. You can see that there is a little bit of nibble action on this from the slugs and snails which have made their way into our garden. But these are the last 3, so I thought we'd harvest them together, and then we can turn over this bed, rest it, and get it ready for the season ahead. And so any of the beds that were empty over the winter, so these were, for example, the ones where I had my courgettes and pumpkins in, we covered these over with a tarp, and it's just acted as a weed suppressant. The ones where we haven't added this covering, this horrible red weed has come through, but this has super helped. So this is something we'll definitely keep going with into the future. So we've reached the end of the garden, and these back few beds, they're very similar to what we've planted previously. We've got the lavender, the roses, the cosmos, the mulberry trees and the proteas, as well as the padron peppers, all kind of doing relatively well. So this year we're hoping to see these things flourish again, as well as try a few different odds and sods that we can put together. But I'm also going to try and add a few different things to the garden this year, be that flowers, vegetables or herbs, but we'll keep you updated on how we progress with that. Just outside the market garden, we have a couple of little areas. One is next to the polytunnel, which is currently our makeshift lambing barn. We have a couple of citrus trees. So we have a blood orange, another orange, and then 2 lemons. We have had some escapees recently. We have 2 goats, a white goat called Jenny and a brown goat called Tabitha. They keep eating the garden, and they've completely destroyed one of my lemon trees here. And you can see here as well where they've completely rubbed it down and eaten the bark off. So around the market garden, we have these amazing passion fruit vines, and they flower and fruit twice a year. And so we're at the back end of their second fruiting season for the winter. So we've made passion fruit jam, passion fruit curd, and obviously eaten our body weight in passion fruit. So that's the tour of the market garden here at the beginning of spring, and what we can harvest here at Bangadang Farm at this time of year. We're really excited to get started on our spring planting, so stay tuned.